We can subscribe to cloud-based consumer services at home in a matter of minutes. Yet we come to the office and just enabling a video conferencing unit takes a matter of 6 weeks. Right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, I understand there's some security requirements, regulatory, obligations and things that you need to worry about. But the bottom line is it's time to move faster. It is time to move at the business speed desired and not have IT and infrastructure hold you back. And this is what the market wants. We need to do all this without violating compliance, PCI, HIPAA, or any other type of compliance out there. It's got to be secure. It's got to be much more dynamic. We'll explain how the technology can start addressing some of those needs and start enhancing some of those capabilities. We must push collaboration to engagement, but do this in a secure fashion. Deliver mobile secure engagement capabilities to our marketplace. Many customers can no longer afford these big waves of CapEx. Every 3 years, every 5 years, I got to go and get approval for $5 million, $10 million. Some banks are telling us $100 million to refresh their infrastructure. There's no way you can go back to the CFO every 5 years and say, give me $100 more million, I just have to refresh what we just completed refreshing. Makes no sense. The market can no longer afford this, and therefore they are interested in looking at utility-based pricing to flatten their budget, yet continue to advance the technology and evolve their infrastructure to meet their business needs. That's very important. That means, again, the shift from CapEx to OpEx is a reality. We must speak that language. Our partner community needs to speak that language with our customers. But more importantly, what if we could bring technology that allows you, without necessarily forcing you to move to an OpEx model, to flatten your budget and get away from those, the heavy cycles every 5 years or so to refresh the entire infrastructure. Last but not least, customers want business continuity, not disaster recovery. I want my no CapEx, my infrastructure, all my applications to be active at all times. And if there is an outage, I want my business to continue to run. I don't want to have to test this every 3 months to see if my disaster recovery data center is going to come up when my business goes down because I ran out of power or there's a lovely storm coming in through the Boston area. So those are all the reality, and customers are demanding solutions, and we have the right portfolio to address all of those needs. So with that, I want to take you on a journey, and I'm going to use some terminology that is quite important for you guys to kind of remember as I go along here. So first, the virtualization journey, and I'd like to go through this because customers have gone through this over the last little while. It depends, right? They may be at different places throughout their journey, but it's very important that we start communicating with them as to what our differentiation and what is it that we do different right now than what we could do 5 years ago. First, I think everybody is very familiar. We've all virtualized servers and storage. Makes sense, right? And if I build this up, there's also the VM capability, so everybody wants to virtualize their application. As Gary outlined, we have virtualized our stack. You can now have UCCC and support whatever deployment model you want. You want a collaboration pod that is a complete turnkey solution with everything pre-configured, we can do that. You want to buy software and licenses, we can do that. You want a complete appliance-based solution, we can still do that. The key here is what VMware did to the market, and please remember this term. It delivered elasticity to compute and storage. By this I mean the applications keep moving forward. More advanced features, more capabilities, the size of these applications will grow, and what we have to do in the past is constantly forklift your servers. So every 2 or 3 years again, the application grew. We've been through this with the desktop, right? Windows kept growing, we kept replacing the laptops and keep changing every 2 or 3 years because there's just not enough memory, not enough horsepower. We need to move from 386 to 46 to Pentium and so on. So what VMware did that was so profound is they finally delivered the ability to say, my application needs have changed, I'm going to add compute and storage and memory dynamically. I delivered elasticity. I no longer have to go through these forklifts, and therefore my budget can be flattened. I don't have to upgrade and forklift everything so often. So keep that concept in mind, because the next virtualization journey was all about the consolidation in the data center. And as we consolidated in the data center, we very quickly came to realize that the legacy terminology and technology was just not going to be suitable for us to meet the future application needs. So out came this concept of Ethernet fabric technology in the marketplace. All vendors, the entire industry looked at this and said, we need to get away from VLANs, we need to eliminate spanning tree, this is suicidal to run this in our data center, and therefore, we're going to build a fabric-based architecture specifically for the data center to address those needs. So we're trying now to create some level of virtualization in the data center. Keep that in mind as I go along, and I'll go back to my elasticity example. The next journey that some of them did or still evaluating or maybe considering is the virtual desktop integrated virtualization. Why? Well, because of BYOD, IT has now lost control of the desktop. You want to buy your own device, you don't want IT to control it, and therefore when you connect to the corporate network, you may bring viruses, you may bring some attack, you may be leaking an intellectual property. This is not suitable. So what IT needs to do is, as we endorse BYOD in pretty much all verticals now, there's still resistance in some, but the bottom line is I need to support BYOD in a secure fashion and regain control over the desktop. That can be achieved with virtual desktop integrated, and therefore we need the right infrastructure, the right application. So what Gary has done that is brilliant, we've broken down the signaling path and the media path, so that the media path stays local, and therefore we don't have to backhaul all the traffic to the data center where the virtual desktop is being hosted. And this is, again, a profound application capability that allows you to move towards a secure BYOD and then regain control over the desktop. Why am I going through this again? Well, most of our competitors stopped the journey, the virtualization journey here. And what Avaya has done is we've continued it and delivered an end-to-end one enterprise, all right, that is being virtualized. End-to-end, not just at a desktop, not just in a data center, but in your campus, at your branches, creating this one virtualized enterprise architecture that differentiates Avaya from all of its competitors, and I mean all our competitors at the moment. This is unique, and this is the opportunity that you as partners have to go and position this. Let's get into a bit more details as to how we can achieve this. Now, you've seen maybe different flavors over the last 5 years of this slide, right? But what I tell people, and although I can spend 20 minutes just on this one, there are things that are unique. And you can't tell me if you're reading this slide that customers don't want to have a discussion about reducing their TCO, especially their OpEx. You can't tell me that a customer is not interested in accelerating time to service, right? Going from weeks, right? From weeks to hours, maybe even minutes. Every customer wants to reduce complexity. There's a strong desire to say, I need to move faster, I need to move at a consumer space speed, but I can't, I'm held back a hostage, and I need to move away from this. More, every now and then we're making some changes on Saturday night, and we have the wonderful, you know what key, and then changes cause an outage. Changes don't work on Monday morning, and we have to revert back. So the human errors, because of the complexity we're dealing with, is too high. I need to enhance my security. I'm not meeting compliance, and I'm forced to buy more equipment to meet those requirements. I have to protect various devices because of hacking, because of cybersecurity. Those are all things, and I'm summarizing here 9 of them, and normally I go through these one by one. But for sake of time here, you can't tell me that customers are not interested to talk to you about these points. Everyone will want to hear more. So let's give them more. So what I'm saying here is, as we move to a fabric-enabled architecture, Avaya now has, in the mid-market and in the enterprise, a very compelling and unique story to offer. But how successful are we? And what kind of success have we had with the technology is what we need to share. What makes it so unique, without getting into the weeds of the technical terminology, right? We have transformed the client-server architecture which the best analogy is, as you can see on the left-hand side, the traffic has to flow north-south from the end user, the endpoint devices, to the data center where the applications are hosted, and the traffic back out to the end user, right? Whatever traffic or whatever application you've been running. This is the flow, this is how we've built networks over the last 25 years. Back to my elasticity concept. If you need more capacity in this client-server north-south model, what do you have to do? You take your 100 megabit switch, you bundle ports, eventually you don't have enough ports, you buy a gigabit switch. When the gigabit switch runs out of capacity, what do? You replace it with a 10 gigabit switch. When the 10 gigabit switch runs out of capacity, you replace it with a 40 gig and a 100 gig, and it keeps going. So every 3 to 5 years, as your capacity requirements based on your business application grows, you're forced to take pieces out of this hierarchical north-south client-server model, replace them, throw them in the garbage, and put a new device back. This is the model that a company that starts with a C loves. They love to do forklifts because it generates revenue. It forces you, right, to go through a refresh of the entire infrastructure. And when it costs you $5 million, it's millions of dollars that goes right in their pockets. What Avaya has done that is so disruptive is we brought a matrix-based architecture that now delivers, and hold on to your seat, network elasticity. What do I mean by this? We no longer have a hierarchical model. We've eliminated all the tiers, and we've created one virtualized enterprise. If I need more capacity, I add a switch to my matrix. I add a switch to my fabric. I leave my gig switch and my 100 meg switch there. They can participate, and they can load share some other traffic that is very suitable for that capacity. But as I add new devices to the fabric, I'm adding capacity, and I am no longer forced to go through constant forklift upgrades every 3 to 5 years. That's what I meant earlier by flattening your budget. I'm now allowing you to add capacity without throwing stuff in the garbage. You expand as your business needs it, at your pace, at your business speed, not at the speed that the vendor wants to meet their financial obligations in the market. And that is profound. That is a shift, right, in the architecture, and that's why we're saying client-server architecture is dead. To move into engagement, next-generation security, enhancement of capabilities, we must change the infrastructure. And that's what Avaya has done. Some critical points, multiple protocols, multiple tier, one protocol. Again, graphically, if we have more time with you guys, think of a house of cards with a bunch of layers that have interdependency. Any of those layers falls apart, the entire house of cards has to relearn and rebuild. That takes time. Take your basement, put a crack into it. How's your nice bathroom on the 3rd floor? That's the same concept. That's what we have developed over the last 45 years, and it's time for a shift. And that's what, again, Avaya has delivered that is unique, and no other vendors can do this. Now, Pierre-Paul showed this slide, but I want to reinforce here that, a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, I was on the road and, hammering this message to the partner community and the customers out there. And always, people came back, well, how many people have are running your fabric? How many of those, do you have, in your region? Well, it was always a challenging answer because we were in the early stage of the journey. But now, right, if you look at the stats, it took us about 10 quarters to have 50 deployment. The next 3 quarters, we deployed 50 more. The next quarter, we deliver 50 more. Now we're almost on a deployment of fabric technology per business day. That is the hockey stick, as we say in Canada, right? That is happening. We now have endorsement. We now have customer. We have use cases. We have reference customers. We have CXOs that are happy to talk to customers. Why? Because we have transformed their business. So that is, again, the growth that we have been looking for. And as Richard said, we now need your help to go and get the message out. Because our biggest challenge yet opportunity, too many customers just don't know what is available in the marketplace and how profound this can be for their business. We need your help to send that message out. And I say this not because I'm here, because you're here. It is absolutely there. I've made the investment. Pierre Paul allowed me to hire 100 people last year. I got about 50 more to go. But once I'm there, I need you guys. You need to reach out. You need to work out with us, right? And then go and pitch this message. And I'm telling you, you will have a unique value proposition, right, to your customers. They will buy on value, not on price. And therefore, you're augmenting your relevance to these customers. You become a trusty advisor, and that is what the market is looking for right now. We are having success globally, not just in the US, in Canada, in AI, American International, in GGM, in China, in Hong Kong, in Dubai, in Saudi, in Kuwait, right? In Australia, in Singapore, in Japan. Everywhere around the world, we have customers now deploying this technology, and I'm more than happy to share any of the intimate details, right, of these customers if you want. Careful also flash this screen, right? But these are important stats. What we've done is we said, and I heard this from customers, and in fact last year at the Executive Advisory Council, we had one last week as well, some of these customers told me, you know what, JT, we like you, we think you're knowledgeable, but I don't believe you. So there's no trust, and we had to go and prove to them that the claims that we were making were true. So what we did this year is we went to customers and we asked them, what was the impact before and after the fabric? Those are the stats that we got. 11 times faster for implementation. Remember what I said about moving at the business speed, the consumer's pace, right? We need to move faster. 11 times faster once they have implemented the fabric. Wait before change. I need a maintenance window. Sorry, we can't do it. Mission critical. It's our year end. We can't shut down the network. Sorry, you're going to have to wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks before you get a maintenance window. From 31 days to 1 day. That is profound. 31 days to 1 day. 7 times less complexity in configuration. 7 times faster for time to repair. Because we now have embedded tools within the infrastructure to be able to give you visibility to the applications and how well the network is behaving. That is interesting. That is called disaster recovery. And on that note, I was just about to say, the reliability of the infrastructure is 2,553 times once they implement the fabric, and I bet you this organization here is running over a C network. So we'll come and fix that. But while this is going on, hopefully you can still hear me. All right, I'll try to speak as loud as they bring back the power. But the key here is customers told us that we went from 13 minutes, of the normal outages, 13 minutes, down to 320 milliseconds. Do the math. That means that no applications are impacted. There's no user impact, when there's a failure. That is huge if you're looking for a business continuity model. And last but not least, we again move much faster. We have the ability to deploy services in a matter of minutes. We can move your business at a much faster pace. This report is now becoming public, and we will make it available to all of you guys so that you have the before and after capabilities or statistics to go and talk to our customers. Now, at some point, we're going to need some graphics back. Are you waving at me? Is there any hope that it's going to come back? It's coming back. All right. So with that, folks, I'll continue to try to entertain you. I could dance, but there's not more people that will see me. So, but in the end, we're having a tremendous amount of success. with the fabric architecture. Customers are resonating well with it. And maybe I'll share some use cases as we go along here. The Dubai World Trade Center is a customer that we have been talking about pretty much for the last year or so. What's important here, and what really resonates well with me, is when I sat across the table with the COO about 18 months ago, when they decided to choose and replace their legacy infrastructure with a next generation fabric-based architecture, the COO sat across the table with me and Nadal and said, I am banking my future on your technology. If you fail, I will be unemployed. That is not comfortable for me. Don't let me down. And today, this guy is a spokesperson for us at events because he's got real use cases. And what he says that is so profound to me is, JT, your technology has transformed my business. We can now do things that we had never imagined before. And because we have the fabric now in place, we can host 2 events in the same venue, the same week. Why? Because it used to take us 3 days, right, to prepare for the network at the convention center. Now I have 4 people, and they can all do this in 1 hour. 1 hour. From 3 days to 1 hour. So what does that mean to the CFO and the CEO? Better occupancy of all the rooms. More revenue, hosting more events in the same time frame. In addition, they had security challenges. So what they did is they said, well, can you help us with our video surveillance solutions? We can't scale the number of cameras, and we're very concerned that someday something bad's going to happen and we will not have the right recording. We can't afford to continue to build separate physical infrastructure. Can Avaya help me solve this problem with your fabric-based architecture? The answer was yes. We added 700 HD IP-based cameras to their network on the same physical infrastructure. We didn't ask them to build a separate network. We did it flawlessly over the same one. At the same time, they said, oh my God, we have all these monitors. We want to do digital signage. Digital signage uses multicast. Can you solve my problem? I'd like to advertise more, and therefore more revenue from the people that want to advertise within our complex. We solved that too. So we addressed all of those things, and they can now make changes on the fly. A transformation of their business, addressing their real needs, and even pushing the envelope further, giving them the opportunity to really achieve something that they had not thought about. If the slides come back, I'll show you the before and the after. So what we've done with video surveillance is we said, we're going to look at this, all right, and here we go. All right. For the organizers, that's why I don't like to be scripted. Bad. So with that, from a security point of view, and I'll show you the video surveillance so you guys can visualize and know what I mean. But one of the inherent capabilities within the fabric is this ability to make portions of your network invisible. Again, profound statement that a lot of people would like to challenge. What is interesting here, without getting into the weeds, our technology no longer uses IP routing cables. It uses Ethernet routing cables. And therefore, IP hacking is not possible when you don't have IP addresses. So in cybersecurity today, and what you see at the bottom, if the customer is only interested in creating a layer 2 service, point to point, end to end, any to any, 2 data centers interconnected, IP hackers will see a big black hole. This network is completely invisible to them. If they require layer 3, because we all know the world is about Ethernet and IP, then we have this concept of IP shortcuts, which means the core of your infrastructure, your campus core, your data center core, also become completely invisible. All the hackers will be able to see is the edge entry point of the fabric and the exit point. Pierre-Paul mentioned that though some customers are very interested, and I think I can publicly state them, if not then I'll go to jail. Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore heard this pitch. They were concerned about hacking. And they said, this sounds so freaking good, we want to test it because we don't believe your claims. They did, we passed all the tests. We are now a standard deployment technology on their network globally. Folks, I'm talking about some serious, large institutions that just don't ship technology to ship a logo from a logo. This is important. This is real stuff. This is about addressing and helping address some of the cybersecurity requirements that customers have. Stealth networks, invisible infrastructure. Mr. Customer, how would you like me to help you make portions or your entire core infrastructure invisible to IP hackers? Can we talk? And I'm telling you, not many customers will say no to that. What I wanted to show here as well is this other concept. So I talked about network capacity elasticity. Now let's talk about secure network elasticity. What do I mean by this? Well, today, as we said, in the legacy world, we configure each node. We've eliminated this by moving to a fabric-based architecture where the provisioning is only done at the edge of the network. At the edge of your data center, the edge of your campus, the edge of your branches. The rest of the core is a matrix fabric architecture that is agile and service-based. All we do is we carry services with a great deal of simplicity and reliability. What's interesting is in the past, if you wanted to have a guest Wi-Fi zone, a video conferencing zone, a contact center zone, a finance zone, a departmental X and O zone, you have to have your IT folks configure the zone across your entire infrastructure. With a fabric-based architecture, all you do is this concept of elastics. The zone, the service exists. I have a service known as video surveillance. I take the elastic band, and stretch it to the Ethernet port. Done. The service is no longer required. The elastic goes back. This is what I want to graphically show here, is that as you implement the fabric, we now deliver the ability to prevent IP hacking. In a retail space, to give you a use case, someone can walk in with the right jacket and on camouflage, whatever, and unplug the credit card swiper from the network. They take theirs that is going to broadcast your PIN information. So they take the existing one, they unplug it, they take the new one, plug it in. Nothing happens. Why? Because the network was pre-provisioned, and therefore there's no alarms unless there's there are tracking devices. But the new device will absolutely join the network. So the next time someone swipes your card, you will get a notification that you have the PIN numbers and all the information from the customer. What's happening, and watch the animation on the right-hand side, the red bubble. With our solution with Fabric, that elastic goes back out. It's a service-based architecture, and therefore, if I no longer need the service because I disconnected the credit card swiper, the service retracts. The person connects a new one, we try to authenticate it, certificates don't match, and therefore the zone will not be extended. That prevents hacking, that prevents spoofing, that prevents snooping. That is key for customers that have concerns about security. This is huge, folks, again. This is something that you cannot do with the legacy network. You have to move to next generation architecture to be able to help move your security to new levels. If you don't, be ready with a great deal of complexity and firewall rules and ACLs and filters to prevent the communication from happening. This is too complex. It is time for a next generation secure infrastructure. I said about video surveillance, so we are delivering the #1 multicast solution. Now, a lot of people say multicast, I have no idea what you're talking about. IPTV, video surveillance, contact center supervisor, rat vision streaming, desktop imaging, financial ticklers, financial trading. All of those applications use multicast as a protocol. Let me show you, and this is the visualization. This is only 10 IP HD cameras with a surveillance monitor that was there. So what we did is we tested before and after. This is with the legacy multicast infrastructure, right? Same vendor equipment, and it takes about 13.5 seconds to go and get the video information from the cameras to bring it to the monitor station. Then we did the exact same test with the same equipment, but this time with our fabric technology, right? And basically what you saw is in 3.5 seconds, we were able to paint the entire monitor screen. What does that mean to you? I just took 10 seconds of latency off the network by implementing a next generation fabric-based architecture. Not 10 milliseconds, not 10 microseconds, 10 seconds. This is huge. Think about real-time application and the impact that we can have when you need this technology. So my last piece here, because there's a big beast out there known as software-defined networks. And again, maybe less applicable in the market, the mid-market, but very important that our partner community helps us tell the world that we have a play in software-defined networks. So the key here, right, is we want to, at a high level, because there's much more detail, and we're working with Andy on an official launch of our SDN strategy to the marketplace. So stay tuned over the next 30 to 45 days, you'll hear from us, but I at least wanted to give you a bit of a preview because this is about a full stack architecture that really, again, creates further differentiation, right, against our competitors. If you start looking at SDN, software-defined networks, first, it is not just about networks. It's about applications. It's about business agility. What the market wants, and if you look and read these things, I probably mentioned already about 80% of those that the fabric architecture can solve. So what I'm saying is, customers are looking at a next generation architecture based on SDN to try to address those needs. I talked about efficiency, elasticity, automation, improved security, network-wide policies, reducing costs, visibility to the application, reduce complexity, increase scalability. Those are all things I already mentioned of technology and issues that we are solving now. Not tomorrow, not hoping to solve them tomorrow, but we are addressing those today. The key here is customers that are evaluating SDN have to make a choice. Everybody agrees, again, legacy client-server architecture, dead. We need to replace it, time to move. Next generation architecture, customers say, I want simplification, automation, orchestration, business continuity, VM mobility, business continuity, application profiling, better agility to deploy application. Everybody agrees, I want to get to the right-hand side bubble yesterday. The challenge, customers have to choose one or two paths. The first one is, I'm going to go to these vendors, without naming them, and I'm going to buy an SDN software-based controller. Software-defined networks, and therefore I'm moving to not a hardware-based platform, but a software-based platform. And I'm going to centralize all my control plane, all my complexity, and then I'm going to protect this controller, make sure I have two of them, protect them with firewalls and all kinds of stuff, to make sure it doesn't go down. But yet, I'm still running the same protocols. I still have VLANs, I still have OSPF, I still have PIM for multicast, I still have this interdependency. This, my best analogy is, call it lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, right? So in the end, right, the market needs a shift. And what we are saying is, if you choose the path at the bottom, it really doesn't address